Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is our final guest for this semester with the CSU Trumpet Studio. And our guest today is Norwegian trumpeter Stian Aareskjold. And his main job is with the Norwegian Wind Ensemble. And sounds like a really intriguing job. And I will love to find out more what that job is. But anyway, we welcome you. And of course, one of the things that I thought was amazing, that one of the reasons why I invited Stian here was because he made one of the most fabulous um, split screen types of pandemic videos that I've ever seen, where he played the Haydn Trumpet Concerto on the original instrument, the key trumpet, but at the same time, he made all of the other parts, the accompaniment, also with a key trumpet ensemble that he played, everything. And it's incredible. If you haven't ever seen it before, please go out there right now and listen to it because it's quite amazing. So anyway, welcome, Stian. And yes, let's get this conversation started.
Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah. To start with, my employment in Norway is, as you said, the Norwegian Wind Ensemble, and it's one of two former military bands, which now is it's a ensemble paid by the government. So we are very lucky to have such a good funding from the government. There are 7 of them in Norway, orchestras and ensembles. Yeah, so it's an interesting place to work, and it's the oldest orchestra in Norway, actually, which been constantly working, if you can say that, since 1734.
What?
So,
That's
yeah,
incredible. But in
yeah.
1734 and up most of his experience, you say it was military, but now it's not military?
Now, yeah, that's right. It's under the culture department as the normal orchestra
Mhm.
also. Yes. So yeah, it's so, and that's also the reason why we do quite a lot of early music in that wind ensemble. We have natural trumpets and sackbuts and natural horns, and we combine that with modern wind instruments. I mean woodwind, and it's a kind of a hybrid ensemble in that way, because it's you get uh, the sound of the Baroque with the brass, and then you also get uh, the modern sound. We have soprano saxophones, for instance, so it kind of really changes a little bit the overall sound. But in the yeah, it's an interesting and it's a fun way to look at the early music. And since we have the uh, we come from that time of period, so yeah. And
Stian, I have a quick question. Does the Norwegian Wind Ensemble have a library which has things back from the early days of its existence?
yeah, I mean they've got payrolls and all that kind of stuff, but like many places, I think a lot of things have been thrown out during the years. So we don't have much from that time, other than the military's archives got payrolls and all that. So
Right.
yeah, and that 1734 is the first payroll, but it probably was even um, 50 years before that also musicians. So it's a really old
Wow.
place. Yeah.
Well, because I am aware, and you said that there was a relationship between Norway and Denmark a long time ago, and I am aware of a very old library of music in, I think it's the Danish Coast Guard has a very old library, which I think their practice was every time they did a piece of music, they would copy out everything and then put it in their own library. So there are things like, for instance, Franz von Suppe divertimento or whatever it is, whatever it's called, variations for trumpet, that it doesn't exist anywhere except in this originally, and except in this one Danish Coast Guard library. So I didn't know if some of that library also was perhaps some of the kinds of pieces that Norway, the Norwegian Wind Ensemble, was doing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think so, sadly.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we also, I mean, I can talk a little bit more about this ensemble because it's a great place to work. I have to say, it gives us the opportunity to play these Baroque instruments, and also we have been doing for maybe 7 years or something improvisation, and then it's totally free improvisation for 24 people. So in some way, it's not free jazz, but it's free classic improvisation. So it's really, it's old music and never before performed music, basically. That's our two main directions of what we do. We of course do lots of other stuff, but that's our kind of what we want to.
that sounds really fascinating. So what kind of improvisation, how would you base your improvisation? What, do you have a bass line that keeps on coming back, or what do you do?
Well, yeah, sometimes we have decided some chords. Sometimes we have decided basically nothing. We played concerts where we have um, maybe just talked about how to begin the concert and how to end it, and the things in between we don't really decide. But of course, we do a lot of preparations and rehearsals, and then you learn how to react on other people's playing. If I know if this person plays, maybe he or she would like us to join. Some people would like to do something on their own, and then you wait. So of course, some things you learn, but also some things you just have to try, and then sometimes people love it and sometimes they hate it. But that's
That
yeah.
sounds really fascinating. I had no idea that this happened. You know, I was just listening to an interview with Marcus Stockhausen, the famous trumpet player from Germany, and uh, and he was talking about how I didn't really know that he did this as much, but the one of the biggest parts of his performances nowadays is just doing spontaneous improvisation, especially with a pianist that he works with. So I think this is really fascinating. So
Yeah, he
go ahead,
sorry.
please.
Yeah, he came to us, and we had this project with him doing just that totally free improvisation, and he talked about um, some of the things we did was that you didn't play until you really had to play. You had to feel that you wait. So there's no problem if it takes 5 minutes until somebody plays. But he talked a lot about this kind of getting into the feel, getting into the mood, um, and yeah, he's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and really a great week. Mm.
But you're talking about, you said 24, up to 24 people doing this at
Yeah,
one
we
time.
are 24 people in the band, and of course uh, it's difficult sometimes because 24 people, you can't get 24 people to think the same of where the music is turning or whatever, but also it makes it when we hit gold, it's really something uh, different than anything else in written music or whatever. This is when you hit gold in this improvisation. It's just an amazing feeling. So it's hard being that many, but it's also rewarding when we hit target.
So I had no idea we were going in this direction, but
Sorry.
but I was so I would love, like for instance, when the pandemic gets a little bit over, I would love to take some of my students in my studio, like for a Saturday morning, and just say, look, good, let's try improvising. what should we think about? What are some of the things that we should keep in our mind as we try to do that? Is there anything you would recommend?
I think I think this would that when you start, you don't. What is the easiest way is to always copy. If somebody plays something, you copy it, and that's the easy way in. But to kind of think that, okay, this is one, what he or she is playing is this what do you call it, layer, and then you have to find what would suit this layer, what would be a contrast, or what would uplift it, or so I think that's to not go into the copy thing at once, because that's what we do. That's what's the easiest for us to do, I think, to just copy whatever is happening. But then you get kind of one-dimensional. So I think that to make, I mean, most of the good music, there's, if you analyze it, it's not 5 or 10 layers. It's 2 or 3 and maybe 4 in some ways, or in some pieces. But the layers are quite easy to pull out, or to I can't find the English word, sorry, but yeah. So I think contrasts or layers is the first rule to try to pin.
Well, it's fascinating, and I love it. So then you also play on period instruments. So what are some of the things you do on, I know that you play the keyed trumpet, but you probably also play the natural or vintage Baroque trumpet.
Yeah, I've got and actually on this Haydn recording I've done, I can't remember how many keyed trumpet parts it is, but it is also four natural trumpet parts in there. So it's a combination of
yes,
of those. Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, we play natural trumpets. We've done the whole Messiah. That was a huge success. We've done with BBC singers and an amazing concert in London. Can't remember the church now, but anyway, and that's for us. We've got a little harpsichord and a cello. Basically, that's what we add to our wind section. So, and it's this kind of hybrid setup. So yeah,
and
we
do you do this all at for instance at A equals 440 or A equals 415, or what do you do?
No, it's 440 because of the modern wind instruments. So yeah, that's what we've tried both, and that's what is the easiest way to get it sounding as good as possible.
Wow. This is really cool. And then when you're not working with a Norwegian Wind Ensemble, do you do other projects outside?
Yeah, I mean, what started what got me into the natural trumpet and early music was meeting Mark Bennett from English Concert. Best natural trumpet player ever. And I met him in Norway, and he was the one that brought the natural trumpet. And so I played a lot with him, and also in English concert with him. So I do quite a lot of Baroque trumpet outside the ensemble as well.
Yeah, I can say definitely. I've heard Mark Bennett play several times, and he's such a wonderful player and an interesting human being as well. So,
He's an amazing guy. He's actually coming over to me in 2 hours to watch Chelsea hopefully beat Real Madrid in the semi-final. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So good luck with Chelsea.
Thanks.
So well, uh, I don't know much about soccer. We call it soccer, football. But who there is still who's the star player for Real Madrid? What's that guy? What's his name? Are you still there?
Yeah. Well, I would say that what's his name? It dropped out. All the star players they are on Chelsea. So
I got it. All right. Well, good luck with that.
thanks.
And please say hello to me to Mark Bennett from me.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
him. The first time I heard him was in Spain when I was playing in Spain in an orchestra, and he played with the English consort, I think.
Yeah.
And he played a Telemann concerto, and it was just gorgeous, wonderful.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
enjoyed a lovely dinner afterwards, so it was great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Fantastic.
So fantastic. So I don't know if you have anything you want to say to my students. I've been just kind of like interviewing you and just like asking you questions. But if you have anything that you wanted to talk about, I invite you to just say whatever you would like to say.
Yeah, but I can talk a little bit about this key trumpet thing, since that's why we basically met up now. It's of course this I don't know how much you can see, but this version of course is they've found versions with nine keys, so it's not totally fake, but of course this is Konrad Burri in Switzerland made this instrument. I was asked to play this concert or the Haydn Concerto with the Norwegian Wind Ensemble, and I wanted to do it on a proper instrument, but I've never tried it before. So I went to Switzerland to try it out, and that was half a year until the concert. So I was a bit nervous about the whole thing. And I remember when I got it, because I got it like this, and I asked him, do you know what is this what's the CDE thing? And he just said, well, I'm a drummer, I don't know. So I had to find all the key or the fingerings myself. But it's an amazing instrument. And what's different about this is that what they had on that time was probably, instead of two keys here, they had one in the middle. But the two keys makes the octaves a little bit closer. I mean, the intonation is a little bit easier. But then again, it's a little bit more difficult technically. But it's an amazing instrument, and it's also, it started off as, they think they wanted kind of a lyrical instrument into the operas, and this key trumpet was what I tried basically how trumpet is in many of the operas now. So they were looking for that kind of sound. Of course, sadly for the key trumpet, the valves came 15 years later, and then 50 years later, it kind of was dead, the key trumpet, except in military.
Well, so is the mouthpiece the same mouthpiece you use with the modern trumpet, or is it a different mouthpiece, or what?
No, I play now the same for this key trumpet, and also for the natural trumpet, and for the modern trumpet. So it's it's because we change from week to week, and then it's a little bit easier to change. It's not totally authentic, but it's close enough for me, at least.
Also, I know that if somebody asks you to play the Haydn on a key trumpet, they may ask you to play maybe in one situation at 440, sometimes at 430 or
Yeah,
whatever. So just that, or they might ask you to play the Hummel perhaps at in the key of E instead
yeah.
of flat. So would you be able to do that on that trumpet, or do you have to get another trumpet for that?
Yeah, for the E trumpet you need another one because then it's too far out. You can detune or tune it down to 430. That's possible, and it's um, but but more than that, it's hard because then what you need is basically if you want to spread out all the holes, of course. You can't just add the length to one part because then they will be out of tune basically. So what you can do is to add something to the mouthpiece bit, but then you have to basically find new fingerings for everything. So you have to learn the instrument once more, I think. So I would rather have a trumpet in E. Yeah.
Got it. But you don't have one yet. You're
No, it's Haydn is enough for now. I mean, I got this instrument in end of December, and the concert was in March. So that was the time I had the limited time.
That's
And
quick. Yeah, very
well,
quick. But
yeah,
and you think about it because Haydn wrote his concerto and it was only premiered something like 4 years later. So you did
yeah,
yours much quicker than Anton Weidinger did his.
yeah. Well, yes. I mean, they did lots of work, of course, on the trumpet at that time, and we don't know exactly how the trumpet looked in the way that he was well, as we spoke about the secrecy of the trumpet being with all these gills, and also when he performed it's they say that he had his jacket over his trumpet in the rests, and he played and he took it back, so nobody could copy the layout of the trumpet. So
Wow.
so
I did not know that detail. That's
well,
wonderful.
now, yeah, it's what they say at least, but it sounds right because he wanted, of course, uh, to keep touring and doing this soloist thing. So yeah,
Well, I mean, we have a similar. There were many early jazz improvisers on the cornet in the United States, maybe around the 19 teens. Like, for instance, King Oliver would play in, I think it was King Oliver or maybe Buddy Bolden, I can't remember, but they would put a handkerchief over their hand so that nobody could look at their fingerings and copy their jazz playing by
yeah,
looking at the fingerings. So
amazing. Yeah,
so very, very similar. As you, these people were like pioneers, and they wanted to keep on playing it for a little while, and of course we have to give them maybe permission, like in retrospect, saying, I guess that's okay. You know, nowadays when you're trying to learn jazz, you just listen to recordings, but back then there were no recordings. You just
of
had
course.
to if you wanted to learn how to play jazz, you would go and watch your favorite person. Or
Mm,
if you wanted to be a trumpet soloist, you may go watch Anton Weidinger and you try to uh, copy the trumpet that he's playing if you
yeah,
can figure it out.
yeah, yeah. It's totally different, and this project of mine doing this. I mean, I recorded the whole thing at home basically with a computer and a microphone. That's all, and uh, so nowadays we can do. We've got so much possibilities of doing things, and but maybe also it's. Um, I mean, it is also nice to know about those people, the pioneers that kind of they had to do all the work and they had to find everything, do so much on their own basically, and so it's different times now.
Yeah. And I've seen another project you did with Mark Bennett, I think, in a church. Is that correct?
Yeah, true. Yeah, a Danish piece. The Fairest of Roses, I think the piece is a beautiful piece for organ and two trumpets.
But did you do
Yeah,
that with everybody in the church at the same time, or did you do that in
yeah,
some?
no, that was a live thing. Yeah, I mean, we recording, of course, we did, but that was yeah, everybody in the church at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
So
It's a beautiful piece. I encourage everybody to listen to that one as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wonderful.
lovely piece.
So let's take a moment and just, if any of my students have any questions, it could be anything, but just asking, I think it's just this perspective. I mean, first of all, you're Norwegian, and so we know American stuff a little bit by now, but we don't know anything about trumpet playing in Norway. So that's one thing. And then in addition, you're playing in a professional wind ensemble. There are some professional wind ensembles in the United States, but not full time. Like the Dallas Winds is a
Mm.
professional wind ensemble, but it's not full time. And then there are the military bands we have in the United States, and I played in the Navy band. So that's full time, but it's not quite the same as as what you're doing. And there is one military band that does a little bit of Baroque trumpets in the United States. In Washington, D.C., there's the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, and they
Yeah,
dress in 18th century things and clothes, and but sometimes they break off and do Baroque trumpet stuff. They have bugles for when they do normal parades, but then they also have Baroque trumpets. But that is the only time I've ever heard of that in the United States. So
yeah.
what you have there is really a unique and wonderful thing happening. And I don't know anybody who does 24-piece improvisations. So that's wonderful too.
No, I can. I'll send you a link afterwards with some pieces of this improvisation stuff also, if you like to.
It sounds really fascinating. So
Yeah.
questions from students.
Yeah. So when you were learning the keyed trumpet, were there any obstacles that you came across technically playing wise, whether it be fingerings or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the brain was one. I think to I don't. I'm not sure if you can. If you can, I'll try to show a little bit of my music as it was in the beginning. I'm not sure if this is possible to see, but you can see small numbers
Yeah.
over each note. That's how I when I tried out the trumpet in Switzerland, I had to write down the fingerings in a book, and then I went home and I wrote it in the concerto, and I basically practiced for a couple of months with no instrument, just doing the fingerings to try to get the fingers right. So that was, of course, I mean, the instrument itself is it's an amazing, it's the same length, of course, as the natural trumpet in E flat. So it's the double length of a modern E flat trumpet, basically. And it's a lovely instrument to play, beautiful sound, and quite easy to play, I think, this model. But the fingerings, of course, is very different, because you have, let me see, you basically have three different keys for the first finger. So you have to move around. Also, you have three keys for the second finger here, and you have got two for the rest, and a little added on octave hole here. So that's the biggest difference, or the biggest difficulties was basically to make the tongue and fingers speak. Of course, playing the Baroque trumpet gives you some kind of the same feel. So I think playing the Baroque trumpet for some years has really helped me to make this jump easier. But I think it still is. When I pick up the key trumpet, I have to get into it again. I can't really just pick it up like a normal trumpet. It needs some more work because it's still new for the brain to do it, basically. But many things is actually for me a little bit easier than, for instance, playing it. Of course, on the B flat trumpet it's a hard piece to play on the B flat trumpet, and I think some things are much easier on the key trumpet. It's the sound just it makes sense in some way to play it on that instrument. So some difficulties, but lots of rewards.
Yeah. Any other questions? I have a quick question. Do you know a Norwegian trumpeter named Kristen Hetland?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I used to do basically a Baroque trumpet competition about 10 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, maybe 12 or 13 years ago. And she was the winner of one of those competitions.
Yeah, cool.
Well,
10 years ago, yeah, cool.
In 2008, actually.
Yeah.
And
I know her.
Does she still play Baroque trumpet?
Yeah, absolutely. She's now in Trondheim in the military band there, I think.
Yeah.
But she also plays Baroque trumpet.
Oh,
Absolutely.
good. I'm so
Still
glad.
going.
Yeah. But she and I both studied with Friedemann Immer in Amsterdam, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know I was in Amsterdam. I assume she was in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I can't remember where she was, but maybe it was Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Other questions? Oh, yes. There's a chat. I was wondering, so this is Jesse Glass. I was wondering what higher music education is like in Norway. Is it common for students to go to university or beyond for music? Or
Yeah.
I guess this question is, what does it look like if you're interested in being serious in music in Norway? What do you do?
Well, we have is it called Royal Academy? I think it's called, or maybe Norwegian Academy, but it's an academy of music in Oslo, and we've got also in Bergen and in Trondheim. There are several in each of the big cities, basically. So you have maybe 6 or 7 university. What do you call it?
A conservatory, or?
Yeah, conservatory, and we call it Academy of Music. I'm not sure, but it's like you are, university style. So yeah, it's basically the same as everywhere else, I think. So it's a good place to study.
But if you go there, can you also study more academic things, or do you go there and only study music? In other words,
No,
I have, like in this conversation, I have one student who's studying computer science and trumpet performance, another student who's studying philosophy and trumpet performance, and then other people are music education, and then 2 people just trumpet performance. So that's how we are right now.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's always down to music, basically, in these places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they are solely musical, and in, of course, many directions, but solely into music. Yeah.
Fantastic. There was one thing I was wondering. Maybe I have 2 people, or maybe more, right now who could play something for you if you would like to listen.
Absolutely.
I think Mikael had a little bit of the Haydn Trumpet Concerto. Did you still want to play that, Mikael?
Cool.
That'd be perfect.
he has to play with a mute because he's in an apartment. So
Yeah, I know the feeling. Cool,
I
fantastic.
keep going.
No, we can talk a little bit about the opening, because I think the opening, it sounds amazing. I think what I might try to do is to make more difference between the lyrical stuff and the signal, the military stuff, because you know we all know the history of this the first three notes, which was a sensation in some way. So we need the first three notes to stand out, but as soon as possible go into really lyrical thing. Bam bam beam, bam 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 beam, and then you go lyrical. So I think you should do more whenever you can be lyrical, but also play more of the military. So if you try just from the top once more.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. Yeah, okay. So for me, I think the first three notes can be, let's see, I don't know if, tell me if this breaks up now.
It's a little bit loud, so you can either lower your volume or.
So the most important thing is to get the three first notes. So go into a lyrical thing after the first three notes.
Okay. So
Yeah, but one line, one bam bam bam. That's one line. So it's not three equal notes. No,
okay.
sorry, it's not three. Not equal. I mean, not. It's not three notes separated. So it's one line.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and also if you can do the bottom G also within the phrase. Ba da 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 da. So it's a ba ba da da da. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of quacked out there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
So.
that's fine. I mean, it's hard to get all the details with this. Yeah, but just once more, because the opening is so important in this piece, because it's basically the whole feeling of the movement is within the first 4 bars. So you have the heroic opening with the line and everything, and then you have suddenly go into this lyrical mode.
Okay.
Yeah, try
One more time.
once more. Yeah. So. Yeah, I would do the trills. So it's not. So it's one trill. Bam, bam. So not bam, bam. Do you understand? So it's on the beat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bam, so it's lyrical. Yeah. Continue. Great. Yeah, it's the same here. Sorry, it's the same here. So it's one line. So it's not the first note is not separated from the other one, even though the slur is on the second 8th note, but it's one line basically.
Okay.
Once more. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Great. But also since this was the first time any chromatic was played, we have to do more with that chromatic line. So it should be as lyrical as possible. So you do more, so it's not one volume. Sorry, cracking up here. That's the problem with the key trumpet. They're a little bit more cracking. So more lyrical for me in the chromatics. If you do the from there. Yeah, but no rushing.
But no what?
No rushing. No rushing. So so you yeah. Maybe a little bit like this, I don't know. Yeah, and that's military. There's no kind of beauty in that. Bum 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 bum. Very no phrasing off or in the tempo. Just very military. Whenever in the concert, whenever these kind of things comes, it's the military, which has been a part of the trumpet history for many 100 years. So that's the old days, and all the chromatics is the new lyrical possibilities. Can you do the whole opening once more with these kind of thoughts?
Yeah.
Cool. for me, it's much better because it's more, you've got, there's more variety in it now. You get the attention with the first three notes, and then you show the lyrical possibilities of an instrument. So I would, that's what I like to do with it, at least. Would you want to continue a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Let's just do a couple of things here. I think the phrase you started with, I have to turn down the.
Stian, I have a question. I wonder if we can adjust your audio, because when you start playing, sometimes the audio completely goes out. And there is a couple of adjustments that we could make in Zoom. It might take a few seconds.
I can try to move away from the thing.
There's another one. I wonder if you have the thing called turn off or turn on original sound in the upper left-hand part of your Zoom screen. Do you have something like that? Okay, so what we try, so look at the bottom left of your screen. It has a little microphone. Do you see that? And then right beside it is a little arrow that has a menu, and the bottom of the menu says audio settings. And in audio settings, if you could try, so there's the speaker, then the microphone, and underneath where it says microphone, there's also a little thing that says automatically adjust for microphone volume. You see that? Is that on or off? Can you cut that off? And then, let's see here. Also, the next thing should be suppress background noise is auto. And then the next thing is music and professional audio. You should say that the first thing should be checked, show in meeting option to enable original sound. And then I think echo cancellation should be fine. Nothing else checked. And I think everything else should be fine. Then click out of that and then go back to, so now on your screen, in the upper left of your screen for Zoom, it should have a new thing. It says, it's a little shield, a green shield, and it says either turn off or turn on original sound. What does it say? Does it say turn off?
It says that it's original sound and what do you call those two dots? Off.
Yeah, I think that's correct. In English, it says turn off original sound, which means that original sound is on, which is what you want.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Now try playing us the example from the da, da, da. Not quite. Hit the other toggle. It's too soft. Yeah, can you raise your volume a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
shorter out. But what you should aim for is to always look for the lyrical parts. So, for instance, bam, bam, ba-da-dim, bam, ba-da-bam. And even if it's just a long note, that note is a lyrical note. So we need to kind of shape that one. So it's moving from lyrical to military and back to lyrical so many times. So we need to find those moments. Also, of course, with looking at the harmonies, going with the harmonies, but also with just within the trumpet part as well. So could we do that once more from the, or do you want to continue with something else?
I don't have any other things to talk about. So if you, Mikael, if you want to play that a little bit more, the same thing.
Nah.
No?
Just kidding. I'll play.
Yeah, really nice. If we go back to almost where we started, so for me, from that bar, it's more military. And then we are into the lyrical stuff. So I think on the trills you can be more bam, bi-am, ba-da-bam, bi-am, ba-da-bam. So try that once.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but even the first note, bam, bam, bi-am, ba-da-bam. So it's not wah.
So.
So they're basically no gap. It's not. So it's one line, but it's more. It's a little bit. It's not totally lyrical. Yeah, try once more. Yeah, much better. And also I would do later on. So you go down to that note. You don't stop before it.
Okay.
Sorry, I was probably too close to the mic again, but yeah. So you link those parts together. So it's not bam 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 bam. So you link those up.
Okay.
excitement. There must be from the first note to that that's a lot of tension in those chromatics. So and it all leads down to bam 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 bam. That's the goal of that phrase. So from the D, everything is going towards that A in the fourth bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still didn't like it.
No, but it's much better. But it's getting within the phrase. If we're going from this place to this place, there also can be different. It doesn't need to be. If you looked at it on the computer, it doesn't need to be kind of going like that. You can of course emphasize some things within that section also, even though if you're going from here to there, you're still emphasizing stuff in the middle. So and it needs to be a lot of excitement in the last two phrases. Bam 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 bada bam 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 bam, and also the last one. Just do it from the same place, from that D. Great. Last thing now is that there must be more expectations, or whatever you would say, in bar 78. So it's not. Oh, sorry. Yeah, but you understand. So it does bam 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 bam. Lots of expectation in those four notes. Yeah, and also when you do this, when you rehearse this with the piano, it's really nice to just try out those places where the harmonies and where you, if you want to, I would certainly work on those bars just to find that, should I start this quietly or this quietly, just to experiment a little bit. So because we start playing this piece whenever we are doing auditions, it's a piece we play the most, and therefore I think also we go into a kind of a automatic mode or something. And I think certainly for me the key trumpet changed that, because I had to rethink everything. So I would do this with the piano and search for the lyrical moments and search for the places where you can find tension with the harmonies with the piano, and really enjoy all the tension that's in this opening. Yeah.
I think we have gone over our hour limit a little bit already.
Sorry.
And but I mean, it's sad because we have to say goodbye, but it's also a wonderful experience to have chatted with you, and to for Mikael to be able to play the Haydn for you and get some input. It was just fantastic, and we can't thank you enough. It's just wonderful.
Well, it's a real pleasure. And the first thing I thought when you texted me that I should have never made that video, because I'm not very I'm not feeling comfortable about this kind of thing. But I really enjoyed this. So maybe it wasn't a bad thing in the end.
No, and please just keep on. If you have some sort of imagination about what would be good, then just do it, because I feel really confident about your imagination and following through. I'm going to cut off the recording, but thank you very much for all of your help. And here I just cut off the